So, conservative media on YouTube is taking a massive hit. Tim Pool, Lauren Chen and her husband, Lauren Southern, Matt Christensen, had some conservative pundits in the YouTube space be hit with a pretty serious indictment. Now, this is the one thing I'll always say, regardless left or right. You have to be very careful where you get your information and kind of take everything with a grain of salt. We have seen, I mean, this indictment doesn't look good for some of these people of how much money they were making. But we've seen in the past when people are funded, they don't really care about telling you the truth, they just care about getting paid. So let's get into the DOJ indictment. These right-wing pundits were allegedly funded by Russia. What to know about the DOJ indictment? The Justice Department filed an indictment Wednesday accusing the Kremlin of pouring millions into a media company linked to the prominent online right-wing commenters as a part of the influence operation pushing pro-Russia propaganda and disinformation on social media. The DOJ's indictment does not name the Tennessee-based online content creation company that received the Russia funding, but the description matches Tenet Media, which describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues. Tenet's website lists 6 prominent right-wing social media personalities: Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, Lauren Southern, Taylor Hanson, and Matt Christensen as part of its talent roster. The DOJ's indictment alleges that 2 Russian state media employees covertly poured $10 million into the company to publish English language videos on various social media platforms, spouting views that are often consistent with the government of Russia's interest in amplifying the U.S. domestic divisions. Tenet's YouTube channel has more than 315,000 subscribers, features segments of Poole, Johnson, and Christensen's online shows, mostly focusing on conservative political and culture war issues. The DOJ's indictment does not accuse the right-wing influencers, which it identifies only as the commenter 1 and 2, of any wrongdoing, and instead suggests they were deceived by the company's 2 founders and Russia state media operatives. When the influencer asked about the company's funding source, the founders allegedly lied and told them they were sponsored by a private investor named wow, a fictional persona. Oof. Okay, that's not great. That's not great. Now, some of the numbers, I've kind of watched a few videos and read a few different articles. You would have certain content creators that only the views would get like, maybe a video would get like a 1K to 5K views. They'd be getting paid like a ton of money. I think it was like allegedly $100,000 for one of those videos. But that is kind of absolutely absurd. So, this is what Poole had to say. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as many other personalities and commenters, were deceived and are victims. Putin is a scumbag, Poole added. Johnson, who has 2.39 million subscribers, also commented on X, negotiated a standard arm's-length deal with a media startup last year, which was later terminated. He then added, "We are disturbed by the allegation in today's indictment and made clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme." So this is going to be very interesting to see how this goes, and this, if this is just looking to be just complete Russian propaganda, just pushed forth and bought and paid for. That's not really a good look. I guess so much for that independent journalism that some of these people try to claim. And I understand you got to make money at the end of the day, but you should have some idea where the money comes from. And that's why I think any reporter, journalist tied to any bigger corporation or even independent corporation, what they like to call themselves these days, it's hard to take them at their word 100%. You know, I'll just say it. I'm not really fucking surprised. A lot of these bigger name personalities, they take deals and brand deals, and I'm not saying Russia's a brand, but at this point you could argue that, right? With how much money they were spending to kind of influence certain commentators out west. But I think it is sad in a way that the defense of these political analysts, who people look to as intelligent human beings, they didn't look to where their money was coming from. Like, they just were thrown a name that doesn't even fucking exist. They didn't check that at all. It's kind of baffling to me in that regard. Like, are they... Either they're burying their head in the sand because that's just a lot of money to be thrown at, which, honestly, morally, you should have issues with, because if you're being given a lot of money, I'd like to know where that is given, where that money is coming from. So they're either burying their head in the sand, or they just knew. They had a kind of an inkling, like, okay, this might be tied to Russia. And obviously this is all just assumptions at this point. I just think it's downright fucking stupid to not look into where your money's coming from. It's why, like, and I'll say this, co-host can't say this, like Act.tv, that's a liberal pushed page, and they pay their people to speak a certain way. We all kind of know this goes on. We all know that we have certain, like, groups and pages and affiliations that make people talk a certain way, and they're not truly free thinkers. And that was kind of the appeal of a guy like Poole for a lot of people. That always independent, always having his own thoughts, and like maybe not the case. I mean, I know Lauren Chen, Lauren Southern, and Ruben, they have their own little fan bases as well. They're like, oh man, these guys are independent thinkers, and nope, just bought and paid for by Russia. Oh man, I guess this is why I don't mess with a lot of these content creators. Coming from more of a conservative viewpoint myself, I'm just going to come to my own conclusions. Give me the information. Who knows? Maybe this is what some people are trying to say in the comment sections of some of these channels. Oh, it's all just government trying to shut down. I mean, hey, if that's the case, I mean, maybe. But if they have direct ties getting foreign money from Russia, and they're getting paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so, I would say to the conservatives, they've had issues about Biden's tie to Ukraine and how his family was getting millions. If you have an issue with that, you should definitely have an issue with this. I don't think it's right to take foreign money and get swayed in that degree. But that's, if you're honest and you have integrity, that's kind of what you would say. Just my big advice: take what people say online with a grain of salt. They're all going to have bias. And fuck, man, I wish I could get paid for a 1K, 5K view video, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Man, I would make content every single day to my 5 fans. But let me know what you think down below in the comments section. I'd be interested to see what your viewpoint on this whole investigation is. Captain Paul, I'll see you in the next one.